The Whispers of Aylesworth Manor, Part 1. Aylesworth Manor stood defiantly atop Hollow Hill, a relic of a bygone era. Its Gothic spires and stone facade were both majestic and ominous, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch out like dark fingers across the town below. For generations, the house had been abandoned, the stories of its past too terrifying for even the boldest soul. One evening, a letter arrived for Emma, a historian intrigued by the manor's legends. The parchment was old, its edges frayed, but the writing was freshly inked. Come to Aylesworth Manor. Learn its truths. But come alone. The letter bore no signature. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, Emma found herself standing at the imposing gates of the manor just 2 days later. The rusted iron groaned in protest as she pushed it open. A chilling wind greeted her, whispering secrets she couldn't yet understand. Inside, the mansion was a maze of long corridors and grand rooms, all eerily pristine. There was no sign of decay, no hint of the years that had passed since its last occupant. It was as if time itself hesitated to enter the manor's walls. In the central hall stood a grand piano, its ebony surface gleaming under the dusty chandelier. Compelled by an unseen force, Emma approached and pressed a key. The note echoed, hauntingly beautiful, and then, voices. Soft whispers enveloped her, each voice trying to tell its own tale of sorrow and despair. The voices grew louder, more insistent, until one voice emerged from the cacophony: "Seek the attic." Gathering her courage, Emma made her way up the winding staircase. Each step was accompanied by a myriad of eyes, portraits of the Aylesworth lineage, that seemed to follow her movements. Their expressions were a mixture of pain and pleading. Reaching the attic door, she found it adorned with a multitude of locks. Hanging beside the door was a set of keys. As she unlocked each one, she felt the weight of the manor's history pressing down on her, each lock releasing more of the trapped anguish within. The attic was vast and filled with antiquities, but her eyes were drawn to a singular object in the center, an ornate mirror framed in gold. Its surface was clouded, swirling with shadows and mist. Drawn in, she stepped closer and saw figures moving within. One by one, the spirits of Aylesworth Manor materialized, replaying their tragic ends. A woman in a ball gown, dancing endlessly, tears streaming down her face. A soldier, forever reliving his final moments of betrayal. Children, laughing one moment and screaming the next. And countless others, each trapped in their moment of despair. Frozen in place, Emma watched as a new figure began to emerge from the depths of the mirror. This one was different. It exuded a malevolence that made the air grow cold. The shadowy figure stretched its hand toward Emma, fingers elongating, reaching. The whispers grew to a deafening roar, each voice crying out in warning. The mirror's surface began to ripple, and the dark figure lunged, trying to break free. In a moment of sheer panic, Emma threw the closest object, a heavy candlestick, at the mirror. It shattered, sending shards flying in all directions. The spirits wailed as they were sucked back into the abyss, the malevolent entity roaring in fury. The attic grew silent. Emma, heart racing, made her way to the shattered remains of the mirror. Amongst the broken glass, she found an old photograph, faded with age. It depicted a family, presumably the Aylesworths, but one face had been scratched out violently, the same malevolent spirit she had seen in the mirror. Breathing heavily, she turned to leave, eager to escape the manor's oppressive atmosphere. But as she descended the stairs, she noticed something. The portraits, which had previously shown images of the Aylesworth lineage, were now blank, void of any image. And the whispers, though softer now, were still there. She had released something that had been contained for a reason. And as night began to fall on Aylesworth Manor, the real horror was only just beginning. The Whispers of Aylesworth Manor, Part 2. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Aylesworth Manor took on a different, more sinister aura. Emma felt a new weight in the air, a heaviness that settled around her heart. The once hushed whispers were now more urgent, filling every corner of the vast house. Descending the main staircase, Emma noticed the once pristine rooms now showed signs of decay. Wallpaper peeled, furniture rotted, and a thick layer of dust covered every surface. The mansion had aged decades in mere minutes. The central hall, previously illuminated by the faint sunlight, was now awash in a ghostly blue glow. As Emma stepped into the hall, she heard the melancholic notes of the piano once again. Only this time, there was someone seated at the instrument, a translucent figure of a woman, playing a hauntingly familiar tune. This ethereal pianist didn't seem to notice Emma, lost in her own sorrowful melody. Summoning her courage, Emma approached. "Who are you?" The figure stopped playing, her hands hovering over the keys. Slowly, she turned towards Emma, her eyes empty voids, tears streaming down her face. "I am Eliza Aylesworth. You freed us, but at what cost?" Emma hesitated. "I saw the spirits, the mirror. I had to break it. That entity." Eliza sighed, the sound echoing through the room. "That was my brother, Edgar. Consumed by darkness, he trapped our souls, feeding off our despair. But now, he's free, and his hunger knows no bounds." The realization hit Emma. The mirror wasn't just a prison, it was a barrier. "How can we stop him?" Eliza's face contorted in sorrow. "There is a ritual, one that can trap Edgar once again. But it requires someone from the living to anchor him to the realm of the dead." Emma gulped. "What do I need to do?" Guided by Eliza, Emma gathered artifacts from around the mansion. A lock of hair from Edgar's childhood brush. A dried rose from his mother's funeral. And a vial of blood from a living descendant, Emma herself, as she'd recently learned of her distant relation to the Aylesworths. Setting the items in a circle in the heart of the mansion, Eliza began to chant an old Aylesworth family incantation. The house shook, the very foundation groaning in protest. A chilling wind circled them, the whispers becoming screams of torment. From the shadows, Edgar emerged, his form even more malevolent than before. His eyes, pits of infinite darkness, locked onto Emma. "You think you can contain me?" Eliza continued her chant, her voice unwavering. "Join hands with me, Emma," she implored. Gripping Eliza's cold hand, Emma felt a surge of energy. The two women stood their ground, their combined force pushing Edgar towards the circle. But he fought back, his power overwhelming. The artifacts began to glow, emitting a blinding light. Edgar screamed in fury, his form disintegrating, pulled into a vortex of swirling energy. With one final, desperate cry, he vanished. The room returned to silence. The artifacts lay burnt and charred, their purpose fulfilled. Eliza turned to Emma, her form now radiant, the sorrow in her eyes replaced by gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice fading. As dawn broke, Aylesworth Manor once again stood silent atop Hollow Hill. The oppressive atmosphere was gone, replaced by a peaceful stillness. The whispers had finally been silenced. Emma, forever changed by her night at the manor, decided to restore it. Not as a haunting reminder of its dark past, but as a tribute to the Aylesworth spirits who had suffered for so long. The restored manor became a haven for those seeking knowledge about the supernatural. Emma, with her newfound connection to the spirit world, dedicated her life to helping lost souls find peace. But every so often, on particularly dark nights, if one listened closely, they might still hear a faint whisper, a chilling reminder of the manor's haunting legacy. And deep in the heart of the mansion, hidden away in a forgotten corner, the remnants of a shattered mirror lay buried, waiting. Because some evils, no matter how hard you try, can never be fully eradicated. The end, or is it?